All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, middle of the week, almost the weekend. For those of you working for the weekend, I'm your host and pilot, Uncle B. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream. We are in the Junkers 52 3M-Retrofit A to basically kind of go over the difference between the one we flew on Monday and this one, show you the little bit more bits and bobs of this aircraft, the navigation systems that are on board. And so, yeah, that's the main reason, just to kind of show everybody the differences between the two. Slight change to the flight plan when I was getting ready to check everything over. It turns out we are departing from runway 1. That is the preferred departure runway based on the wind. Right now, the live weather, we are not on live weather. We're flying with just a few clouds. So we're going to take off, head north. We're going to pass over. We're going to probably get up to about here, roughly. And then we're going to hang a left turn, come back around, get onto our heading towards CRG. That is a VORTAC. Hopefully everything works like it should have the other day. We'll actually fly the needle, so to speak. And this is the longest leg. This is 108 nautical miles to our first nav point, all the way down here in Jacksonville. We're going to be right near the executive airport. Then we're going to take off or keep going down the coast here, past St. Augustine, on down, and then we're going to intercept another VORTAC here at Ormond Beach. Then we're going to take a right turn, head inland a bit, and then we're going to line up on an ILS approach here at Daytona Beach Airport, Daytona International. We'll be right near the famous Daytona Beach, or Daytona International Speedway. Good morning, Jody. For you NASCAR fans, there you go. We will be landing near there. I am more the fan of the sports car course, the 24 Hours of Daytona, which really kicks off the racing season here in America. Despite the Daytona 500 being more popular, the 24 Hours of Daytona is the de facto beginning of the racing season here in the United States. Anyway, so we'll land near there. Hopefully we'll be able to see it when we come in. Let's see, what else are we going to fly over? I think that's pretty much it. We will be near, I think we will pass near, will we? Possibly. I'm trying to figure out where, maybe not. It's weird, it's not showing it. Well, maybe we won't be close enough to it, but we should. I thought we were going to be near Amelia Island. I think we might pass over. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll fly right over Fernandina Beach Municipal Airport, which is where, you guys have heard me talk about this before. If you're here for the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance, the fancy car show, you park here, and then they pick you up on a shuttle bus. They take you out this way, and they take you over to the hotel that's hosting it. They let you off there, and then you get your tickets and all that. So we will be flying over there. Good morning, Joseph. So I will give it a few minutes to see if anybody has any questions. I don't know if I think Amella's aware that I'm going live, but we'll wait a few minutes. We're not in a rush. It says 2.5 hours. I don't think it'll take the full 2.5 hours to go 223 nautical miles. If it does, it does. If not, it's fine. But we'll see if anybody is going to pop in and join, or if anybody has any questions before I get ready to spawn in on our departure runway, get everything set up, and all that. So we will. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, whatever. Joseph, young man. Oh my goodness. I popped into your thing. I had you on just so that I could be one of your viewers, so you had at least somebody watching you. I know Steve was there, and I don't know who else popped in and left you a couple thumbs up or whatever. I'm fine. You didn't have to keep asking. I was like listening. I'm like, goodness gracious, Joseph, just drive the flipping train. It's fine. I'm fine. I just popped in. I woke up to use the restroom, and then I saw you were on, so I was like, let me just post something real quick and leave you a thumbs up. Just trying to be there to support you. So, yeah, just. But you only did the one route. I thought you were gonna do more, Joseph. I was expecting you to do another run there on the uh, London Underground. But you did one trip and then gave it. Then you were like, I'm done. And I'm like, dang. Normally you're like, I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, so that's what our plan is for today. Once we wrap it up, we'll be back tomorrow in the Cessna 172 on our next leg of our flight along the Route 66. Um, oh, we are going to have story time today as well. I almost forgot about that. I just remembered. We are going to have story time. So stick around for that, young addies. I know you like your story time. Good morning, Amela. There we go. I'm going to do another one tonight. Okay. All right, so that's basically our plan. So Amela's here. We're in the retrofit, as I posted in the Discord. We're doing the more modernized version with the little bit more navigation equipment and all that. So we will see how this one goes. We have two Vortex, which are like VOR DMEs, but it's more for military aircraft use the Vortex for navigation. The southern East Coast was had a lot, and it still does. It's a very military orientated part of the United States. They have a lot of naval air station and air force bases and all that. You know, where I was stationed at here in Savannah, we'll fly just a little bit to the west of Hunter Army Airfield. That's all basically helicopters. There are some fixed wing aircraft here, but it's predominantly helicopter aviation. Blackhawks, Apaches, Kiowas. What else? I think the Chinooks. Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of aviation in this area. Marine Corps, up in this area. So yeah, lots of aviation in the area, military aviation. So all right, let's go ahead and spawn in. We'll get everything set up. We should have a nice morning flight. I'm not going to tinker with the time. We're just going to leave it alone. We're going to have a nice sunrise sort of flight. Although the sun is already up here, but in the sim it's kind of going like, oh, it's still kind of dark. But we'll see what happens when we can get in there. Then once we're in the air and headed towards our first nav point, we'll have story time. So. The old crusty salute. All right, so let's get our stuff on here. Let's make sure all of our lights are on. All right, and we want to dial in our first navigation frequency, which is 11450. So 1 1450. So we don't even have to deal with the other one. We're going to switch this to DME. We're going to make sure our heading bug is on 007. Right, and we have that on our first VOR, so that's all set. Oh, we're going to turn on. So this is the part I was talking about, Amela. So you click this, and then you click that. And once we're in the air, if it picks it up, it'll say how much farther, how much distance we have left till we intercept our navigation aid. Oh, let me go back to Twitch here. So that helps you. If this number, if you say, okay, I'm expecting to see, say it turns on at 90 nautical miles, right? So I should have thereabouts to get to our first navigation point. If that number doesn't change or increases, right? If it stays steady or it increases, you're going the wrong direction. Okay. But generally, as long as that number starts to go down, oh, it's Joseph. It's fine. Do what you want to do. It's fine. Do your thing. It's all good. Oh, I gotta add some fuel too. I almost forgot. Oh, and I gotta add some weight as well. Oops. Let's do this. Yeah, we'll see if that all that clicks on once we're in the air. Okay. Let's go 180. 180. So we got some weight in the back. There we go. All right. Got that done. Let's see. So yeah, so everything should be pretty much set here. So yeah, we'll see once we get in the air if this needle should activate towards our first nav point, our VOR, our VORTAC, and then this might show us the distance to that. So it may take a minute for it to kind of catch up in the system, basically, as I like to call it. I think all of our other lights are on. All right. Any other questions or concerns before I depart Savannah? Any questions? Anything I can answer before we get in the air? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Thank you. Um, all right, so we departed. I didn't even realize I muted myself. Thank you. All right, so we want to go on a heading of what did I say? 196. All right, so we're gonna put that. We're gonna go swinging around this way because it'll be a little bit quicker. Just keep letting it gain altitude. We'll turn here in a moment. Catch up with the chat once we're on our way. Let's see, it's already pointing that direction. Oops. All right, let me get back to the chat here. So, as I was saying, I had pasta last night for dinner, Amilla. I'm going to have to come up with a command just for you that says, what did Rob eat last night? So you could just put that in, and then you could be like, oh, okay. Generally, on average, I only eat a few. There's not much difference in my diet. I either eat pork loin, chicken tenders, or chicken patties, or chicken breasts, pasta, sometimes chili, sometimes soup. On a rare occasion, if I can, I do get sushi, but that is very expensive. It's not like the most. It does cost quite a bit. Oh wow, this thing is. All right, now it's starting to climb again. All right, we are on our way. And that might be... Is that it? No, that's not it. All right, let's go ahead and turn our lights off here. Even though technically we could leave them on. Oops. All right. Ooh, chicken kebab sounds good. All right, let's see if we can spot on our Army airfield. That looks like it right there. I'm pretty positive. That does not look like. Yep, I'm almost positive that is. Unless that is Savannah still. But no, that should be on our Army airfield right there. Yep, because there's the golf course. It should be the post golf course there. Yep, I'm pretty positive that's it right there. Alright, we can hold this heading for now. Hello, I've not had any issues. Okay, hold on a second. I'll answer your question more in a minute. So, It went. Okay, there we go. There's the needle I was talking about a minute, flying the needle. So we've got our. You can hear it. You can hear the beeping. That's our 3-letter code for our first nav point. Um, um, but that tells us which way we need to be heading. So we can follow that needle, and that will take us right to our vortex. And we know we have 106 nautical miles to our nav point. Okay, so everything's working as intended. There we go. So now we know that everything is going the way it should. And we are on our way towards Daytona Beach. All right. So I've not had any issues. I think I had one CTD when I was looking, because what I usually do, yes, the plane is detecting those nav points. The radio navigation system right here, this little dial. So we've dialed that in. Once it picks up that signal, it basically will say you need to fly this direction, and so that's the needle we'll fly. We won't necessarily pay attention to this. We only should pay. We can pay attention to this. Okay, and that'll get us right there. And you just follow that. And as long as you hear the beeping, which that's what told navigators that they were heading the correct direction. They were like, okay, yep, I recognize the Morse code for those 3 letters, which is, I believe, CNG. Yeah, CRG. I'm sorry, CRG. So there we go. So I've not had any significant issues. I did do a flight yesterday, kind of spur of the moment, for my virtual airline, Firefly Airlines. I didn't even check my altimeter to make sure it's correct. Yes, it is. All right. So like yesterday, I flew in live weather. I took off from Dublin, Ireland, and headed over to Bonn, Cologne, in Germany. The premise was you were taking some crisps that are made in Ireland over to with Murph. Yeah, exactly. So I did that, and the weather was a little bit strange. Like when I was coming into Bonn. Well, as I was coming into Bonn, first my plane started to do that weird circle thing, and I had to get it back on track, which wasn't too terribly bad. I got it sorted out. Yeah, Tato's, that's it. But that was the only thing. But I don't know if that's necessarily a Sim Update 10 thing, or if that was just my I think the arrival portion was a bit wonky. I don't know, but I made it. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, that's my. All right, let's go ahead and throttle back a bit here. Plane should start to kind of settle for a moment. It'll dip down and then it'll probably dip back up. So I've not really noticed anything too terribly bad. But that, that's the strange thing about this stuff, is that I may not have an issue, but you will on the Xbox. That's what doesn't make much sense sometimes with the sim on the console. Sometimes somebody has a problem, other people are like, I don't have that problem. Just like with the T-45, people are like, I can fly it, no issue. I don't know what your problem is. And I'm like, I don't know either. I just know there's a problem, So, I'm sorry that it's, not working for you. Or now some people would suggest that you uninstall the sim from your console and then reinstall everything, and sometimes that fixes it. But it's, that's a time-consuming process. And then now oh wow, yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't quite understand why it does that. What's the difference? You know, well, I would have thought we would have still been climbing, but the aircraft wants to lose altitude, and I'm trying to get it to trim up and gain more altitude just so we don't, you know. I mean, I'm fine cruising at 3,200 feet or so, but good morning, Mick. Have I ever been to New Jersey? I've been through New Jersey. I've never properly been in New Jersey. I've flown. I think I've flown in and out of Newark Liberty, which is in New Jersey, but I've never actually gone into New Jersey. Man, why is this thing not wanting to? Normally, I would have thought it would have given us. It would have just been doing it on its own. We would have still been climbing towards 7,000 feet right now. Huh? Kind of weird today. All the flaps are up. Yeah, it's like not wanting to climb today. That's kind of. Oh, you know what? I may have put too much weight on. Maybe it'll climb on its own eventually. We'll keep an eye on it. So yeah, I don't know. I am considering, and I probably will do it. I'm going to try to sign up for the beta for Sim Update 11. Hopefully, that means we're going to see some of the awesome stuff early on and see if that works. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm thinking about signing up for Sim Update 11, the beta, I should say, the beta test. Because I'd really like to check that out and be a part of that. I think that's going to be the most important sim update, especially for the Xbox, because that's the one that's supposed to have the WASM fix, I think, unless it's been delayed again to next year, but we'll see. But I'm envisioning that won't be up until that may not be available until sometime in October, which is just right around the corner. Hard to believe. This is the last Wednesday of September already. Goodness gracious. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why that's happening, but it's unfortunate that you're experiencing that. But I would think that most people would say, well, maybe just do a complete uninstall and reinstall it on your Xbox, and that might clear it out. So, story time. Story time. Joseph, pay attention. It's story time. You ready? So, this story time was brought to you by a comment, and I'm not going to say whose name, and it is what it is. A comment was made last night, and it reminded me of something. Almost 13 years ago when I was in Iraq, a gal that I still know, we just don't talk hardly at all. So she's a school teacher here in the area near where I live. And so when I was in Iraq, she said, hey, do you, the kids want to send you letters and all that. Is that okay? And I said, sure. So she got the kids to write letters, whatever they wanted to say, within reason, of course. She put it all in a box and shipped it to me, right? With some goodies and whatnot. So, generally the kids, said thank you for serving our country and, stuff like that. But there was one letter that stood out to me. And when I read it, I was like, oh boy. Well, I didn't say oh boy, I said something else, but that doesn't, we won't repeat it. But it was a bit of an eye-opening in a way, but it was also kind of heartbreaking. Kind of, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It was just, it kind of caught me off guard, but the comment last night reminded me of that letter. And I'm going to paraphrase basically what the student wrote in the letter, because I don't have the letter anymore, so I can't read it verbatim. But basically the question was, is it fun to kill the enemy? How many people have you killed? This very bold, blatant, very direct question. And now this is from a middle schooler. So I was just like, wow. So basically what I did was I took all the questions and I tried to, if there was certain questions like what do you do in the Army, or I tried to make it one letter so that she could read it to the class and say, okay, this is what he said, and this addresses majority of the questions. But that one was very tough because at that time, and it's still prevalent today, a lot of kids grow up playing Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever, those shooter games, right? And their parents just buy this stuff because they're like, fine, here, just take it, get it, whatever, and then that way the kids will leave them the hell alone, right? That's basically what they want. They want the video game to look after their kids. So it shows a lack of understanding, and this is a parent's fault, really. The consequences of taking somebody's life, whether you're in wartime or not, there are consequences. There's emotional consequences. There's obviously physical consequences. You may think that you're prepared for that in the real world, but you're not. Whatever you think you may understand about those consequences, when it happens in the real world, you are, unless you're just a very callous and uncaring person, you are not going to understand those consequences. That is the problem in a way, and again, I'm not saying that these games need to be banned or whatever. It's just that the kids get these games because that's what they want. Their friends are all playing it. I want this game because, my friends are all there, and, they want to be interacting with their friends. Right? And so he had this notion that I'm running around like I would be on like Modern Warfare or something, laughing and joking as I'm shooting people. And it's like, no, there's not. If you're doing that, there's something psychologically wrong with you, first off, in the real world. You really need to go seek professional help. But the comment kind of reminded me of that last night. And I joke around and I say, there's things that I've seen and before I was a medic, and the things I've seen and done since I was a medic, or as a medic, that would make people's stomach turn. And I always joke around and say I can tell those stories if I really want to have a go and make people go like, well, no, stop the story, I don't want to hear this. I have seen things I'll never be able to unsee. As much as I might want to, and some people, you suppress it, you can, and other times that stuff comes back and haunts you when you least expect it. Okay? So, it's not, what am I trying to say here? It's two different things. When you've had enough of the quote-unquote war in Modern Warfare, for instance, you shut off your console, your computer, whatever, and you go to bed. In relative safety, usually. You go to bed, you got a roof over your head, you got water to drink, and a place to sleep, and a place to take a shower and whatnot. That person that's deployed on the other side of the world would give anything to have that. Right? So I had to really I had to bite my tongue last night because I think when people make those comments, they're not trying to be disrespectful or callous or whatever. It's just that you you don't really know what the cost emotionally, not just the physical toll, but the emotional cost of 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 being deployed and seeing things that you can never unsee as much as you may want to. If when I played the Division 2, if I'm feeling like, you know what, today is probably just not a good day for me to get on that game, if my buddy hits me up, I'll say, not today, man. And he'll be like, all right, cool, I'll catch you later. But if but that's my choice as an adult. If I can say, well, I'm fine with this, I can get through it, not a big deal. But if I'm like, yeah, I don't want to play this game today. I'm just not in the mood for it, whatever. Then that's my choice. But yeah, that letter to this day, and like I said, I don't remember the exact words, but that was pretty much the gist of it. Was this student seemed to think that, oh well, if you're doing this, it must be terrific, must be having fun, and it's like, no, not really, so uh, and it reminded me too, to kind of continue the story time here, because I know Joseph's like enthralled. He's sitting on the edge of his bed wondering what I'm going to say next. When I got back from the Gulf War, when I got home on leave before I went from Germany, I went home for a month. After being in Germany partying for a month, I went back to the States, back to California. And my mom had like a welcome home party for me, right? Which was fine. And I'll never forget, and it's still true to this day, I get two questions. Women would always say, was it hot in the desert? Well, you think? It's the desert. I mean, does Death Valley get hot? Death Valley in Southern California is hot. It's a desert. So if Death Valley gets hot, I'm pretty sure. Why the flying coffin? Why does that sound familiar? If it gets hot in Death Valley, I can assure you it gets hot in Iraq or in Kuwait. Guys, on the other hand, did you see any action? What was it like? And it's always weird. And it wasn't until I read the book All Quiet on the Western Front that it kind of started to make sense. Because in the book, the main character, he goes home on leave and his mother's sick, and she's worried about him, and he's like reassuring her, oh, it's nothing terrible's happened, and he's lying to her. He knows he's lying to her because he doesn't want her to worry that he has seen and done horrible things. Because no son ever wants to tell his Mama, I've had my friends die next to me, I've seen all kinds of stuff. Because then it's just like, it's like your loss of innocence, right? So, but I always remember that. Like, was it hot in the desert? And I would always want to be a smart ass and go like, no, actually it was like really super cold and quite opposite of what you would expect, and but I couldn't do that. Let's see how much farther we got to go. 72 nautical miles. So, yeah, just but yeah, that's basically the story time, I guess, is, when people make comments like that, and I'm just kind of like, what? No, dude, no. Because at the end of the day, you can turn off your Xbox or your PlayStation or your PC. You can go to bed. It's your choice if you want to get up the next day and play that game again. It's not the same when you're in war. You don't have a choice to say, oh, I'm not going to go to war today. Unless you're like, they think that you're mentally unstable, and they're like, okay, let's go get them help, right? But yeah, I don't. Um, I'm always surprised when people make comments and they're just like, no, you don't really know. You really don't. And I hope to God people will never have to find out for themselves. I really do. I don't want, like, I'd hate to see my granddaughter have to fight in a war. I wouldn't want that for her, you know. Because no matter what you think you're prepared for, you're not. And it's very difficult. And even though they'll say, oh, no, you can get any help that you need. Nope, not always. Because it costs money. It costs the VA money to pay a social worker or a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, to sit and talk to a veteran who has PTSD or depression and anxiety. So you cannot know. You cannot know. Just based on a video game, you cannot know. I hope to God young people especially, never have to find out for themselves in real life. So there you go. There's story time. The end. Brought to you by Joseph Adams. Kind of end things on a light note. But yeah, you don't really know. So there we go. There's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's feather the props just a bit. Not that we're super high, but just to thank you, Mella. And see, at least it made Addie's laugh. I don't know if that was really the intent, Joseph, but you're welcome. But I will say this as a post note. Like when I came home, I got back to Germany after the Gulf War, and when I returned to my unit, there was nobody from mental health. No psychiatrist, psychologist, nobody came and said, do you need to talk about anything? It's your choice. Do you need to talk? There was none of that. It was like, here, go take some leave, go get drunk, have a party, whatever. We'll see you in a month. That was it. There was nobody there to talk to. Thanks, Joseph. But especially when I came back from Afghanistan, there were people from mental health that were there and said, do you need to talk? We can schedule some appointments. What can we do to help you? So they did make a lot of improvements between the two, but it's still very, it's not as good as it could be because it costs money, and that's the problem. It costs money. Even if they have people who are in the military who are behavioral health specialists, they still have to pay. There's not enough of them, and then so they have to hire civilian people, and it costs money. So there you go. All right. So yeah, I struggled with that comment. I really did. And I was just like, I can't. If I say something, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, and I don't want to do that. So I just was like, no, let me think about this, how to correlate what was said, and hopefully people understand it. I don't expect a lot of, some people may not, and that's okay. I don't bear any ill will if you don't quite understand what I was trying to say. But I I'm one of those people. All right, take care, Mella. See you later. Like when I was in the military, it's easy to yell at people, right? And put them down and make them feel small over a mistake. There's always a teachable moment in most any situation. It's up to the person, somebody, to look at it and say, well, we can yell at people and make them feel bad, or we can talk about it and hopefully everybody learns something from it. Because then people feel, they're like, okay, I see what mistake I made. Now I understand the larger context of my mistake. Right? That's the important part. But a lot of people don't do that. They're just like, oh. I saw a lot of NCOs when I was in the Army. They'd just rather yell and curse at you. What did I learn? Nothing. Not a thing. I just learned that if I do make a mistake, all I do is get cursed at. What did I learn about the mistake? Anything at all. That's the difference. So there we go. I think we're quite at, let's see how much farther we got to go, 57 nautical miles. So we're not quite at the state line between Florida and Georgia just yet. We're getting there. We can keep an eye out for that Fernandina Beach Airport. Possibly we should be flying near it enough to see it. I think we're at the very southern part of Georgia right now. Do need to get a picture while we're in the air. I'm going to go ahead and get one out here. Ooh, I kind of like that. It's more. Oh, we did one that direction the other day, so let's get one from here. There we go. I like that. Let's get that picture right there. Keep the default. Yep. Oh. So anyway. Well, thank you all for coming in and hanging out. I think I scared some folks. Ooh, that was not a very nice story. I don't know how I feel about it. It's okay. Ooh, we're getting a little off track here. Well, thank you, Joseph. Appreciate that. Go getting all tender in the chat now, Joseph. $52. Okay. Used to drive down to Jacksonville, down to Fernandina Beach for the car show. I miss living in Savannah just so I could do all that stuff. Is that might be Fernandina Beach Airport right there. I think it is. Let's see if we can tell from here. That does look like it might be it. That might be it. It may not be. No, it can't be because we're not near. We're still, because it would be closer to Jacksonville. I don't think we're quite there yet. No, I don't think that's it. Oh, wow. I'm getting way off track here. Oh, I gotta take my vitamins. Almost forgot. Think no, there seems things are pretty stable right now. I am going to run to a little captain's room. Just a moment. I will be right. Put the view out here so you guys can enjoy the view as we fly along here. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. $42 nautical miles. So we're still going. Making our way down towards Daytona Beach. I don't think I've ever been by the Speedway. I've kind of skirted around Daytona before, but I've never been to the Speedway itself. I would have liked when I was living in Savannah, stationed in Savannah. I would have liked to have gone to the 24-hour race just once. Thank you, Joseph. Just to say that I've been there. You know, not so much. I mean, of course, there would have been teams I would have been rooting for, but I think it would have been a neat experience. I would like, my plan years ago, and maybe I can still do it one of these days. I'd like to go to the 24 hours of Daytona, the 24 hours of Le Mans, the 24 hours of Spa, 24 hours of the Nürburgring. Those four right there. I would like to experience all those in the same year. I think it would be amazing. I remember the first time I went to Sebring for the 12-hour race, and people would say, why watch a 12-hour race? Because I think it's interesting. No. I mean, it's really, it's kind of a party, you know, especially the people that there are in the campgrounds. It's a party for them, you know. They've known each other for years and years. They've developed friendships, and they always see each other almost every year in the campgrounds. But it's a lot of fun. If some people go and they don't really care who wins or loses or what happens, they're just there to have fun. They're not really concerned about the action on the track. They're there to barbecue, get drunk. That's about it. Alright, so we must be getting near. Well, it would seem, I don't know, maybe the way I did the weight might have be impacting how we're flying right now. I think that's the case. We should have been farther inland. I think we are way off our, because this is saying that our magenta line is to our right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to the right and head back inland a bit. We still have 35 nautical miles till we intercept our vortac. So, yeah, baseball games, a lot of people do tend to go to drink and eat and basically, you know, a lot of people do go do that. But it's more, it seems like it's more more, what's the word? More it races and even at car shows it's like it's almost expected, you know, like you know, I've talked about this before. When I would go to Amelia Island, people were already blitzed before noon, staggering around drunk. You know, just walk, you know, you're getting ready to take a picture and they just walk right in, bend, you know, look over the car real quick, turn and look at you and go like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm my bad. No, you know, no sense of situational awareness, you know, because they don't care. They're drunk. That's the truth. And so yeah, but at the car races, that's, people walk around, they're just drinking all the time. You know, it's a big party, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just that sometimes fans' behavior tends to ruin it for everybody else. Not always, but sometimes. But generally, if people get really out of control, they'll just be escorted off. They'll be like, okay, you're done here. Go pack up your stuff and get out of here. Or we'll take you, and you can come back tomorrow after you sobered up to get your stuff. Because they're not going to let you drink and drive, right? They shouldn't, but... Alright, there we go. Now we're kind of back on our line here. But yeah, that was always the one thing I noticed, because when you're sober and you're walking around, you see all these people just stumbling around drunk. You're just, wow, okay. Must be nice. But yeah, but you're right, I guess they don't care. Because I've had people look at me like, oh, you want to take a picture? Oh, well, aren't you special? No, I paid to get in, and I'd like to take pictures of the car because I like the car. I'm here to get drunk. If I did that, I'd be like, I don't think I'd feel very good. It's warm. It's kind of hot out. People don't ever think about that kind of stuff. Anyways. I'd like to go to those 4 24-hour races. I would like to do. If I ever hit the lottery, I'll do it, because then I could do it properly. Have nice places to stay and all that good stuff. Alright, let's see how we're doing now. We have 27 nautical miles to go to our first vortac. Then we go on to a heading of 164 degrees for 65 nautical miles. So that's what we got coming up. See, now when I look at my SkyVector website with this information, it's saying the true heading is 188 degrees. That almost lines up with what I see with here. I think that's about a 188 degree heading. But we're getting there. We're navigating just fine. It's just today, and I think it's just that I I may have gotten a little overzealous with the weight, because the plane has not been climbing like its normal self. It we can dial this into 180. There we go. So I forgot. I lost my train of thought now. Oh well, never mind. Oh yeah. So I think that's more along the lines of what the true heading would be. It'd be 188. Well, that's what it says on Sky Vector. But let's see what we got. Where are we at? If we are 22 knot, now we should be. There's Fernandina Beach right there. There it is. And then the hotel is right on the coastline, but it's on a golf course. Almost every high-end car show that I've ever seen, with the exception of the one up in Greenwich, Connecticut, is on a golf course. Greenwich's Concours d'Elegance is at a park. I think if they want to expand, they're going to have to find an alternate location. But that looks familiar, because I would come in and you, because I come in south and then you take another highway or whatever out here, and then you hang a right and you go down the street. It's in a really posh neighborhood. You kind of drive through that, and then the parking lot is right there. I'm positive this is Fernandina Beach. Right here. Sun Sky River. Okay. I'm pretty positive that's what this is. I'd be surprised if it was something else. But based on the layout, nope, that's it, because there's those like baseball diamond kind of looking places or whatever. Yeah, that's Fernandina Beach right there. Crazy, you go to a place enough times on the ground, you can almost pick it out from the air. Yep, there it is. And then the way they take you, yeah, so you come out here and then it's like they kind of go out this roundabout way to get there, but that should be, I think that's where the concourse is actually held. So you come in, they pull up and they let you off. Well, they changed it because there was so much traffic. There's a alternate way to get in somewhere else down here, and so they have kind of like another part of the show. As a matter of fact, I think it was like along here somewhere, or along here. But anyway, they've changed like the traffic route. But it's a very nice hotel, very expensive. I'm getting way off course here. Yeah, very posh sort of place. All right. There we are. So we know where we are. We just got to intercept this. We are at 15 nautical miles to our first nav point. Then we got to tune in on a frequency of 112.60. On a heading of 164, right? Alright, so let's look at our chart here. Let's have a look at our how the airport's laid out so we kind of know what to look for. It's only, I think it's, yep, only 2 runways. It's like a V, and the open end points west, roughly. And our navigation aid is just above where the 2 runways intersect. We'll fly out here for a little bit. We'll just try to make sure we stay on track as best as possible. You got it. That was the plan all along. Alright, so it's probably, I'm guessing, somewhere right up here on the other side of these clouds. We only have 9.8 nautical miles, so it's probably just on the other side of these clouds here. I'm guessing. My screen was a little bit behind again. Refresh. Alright, there we go. Eight nautical miles. Wow, well, there's a bit of a wind that just keeps pushing me off track a little bit. So, viewers, thank you all for coming in and hanging out. We took off from Savannah International. We're heading down to Daytona Beach. We'll be landing near the Daytona International Speedway, home of the 24 Hours of Daytona and the Daytona 500. Okay, definitely not there. I think that's our airport right there. Yep. I'm pretty positive that's our That's where we need to head. Yeah, that's about right, because we got 6 point something nautical miles, and that's probably within that range. So there we are. Look at Sky Vector, so I make sure I put in the right information, and I'll get back to the chat here. As soon as we pass over, this is the executive airport. The international airport is probably right there. I think. Somewhere around there, maybe. I was at Daytona last night on GT7 watching Mick. Yeah, it is quite a... That road course can be a bit tricky, especially through the infield there, trying to carry enough speed to get through there rather quickly. Where did our airport go? 4 nautical miles. Oh, it must be just on the other side of those clouds. I saw it, now I can't. I thought I saw it. Maybe I guessed wrong. Maybe it was a street or something. Yeah, I like to go there just once. I've been to Indianapolis for the F1 race in 2005, the infamous tire debacle between Michelin and Bridgestone. But I would like to go to Daytona to see a race. Not the Daytona 500. I like to go for the 24-hour race. Okay, there we are. There's our airport. And make sure we intercept our VORTAC. We're at 2.3 nautical miles. The VORTAC is like right about there. But we're close enough, we'll intercept it. Oh, 11260. Let me make sure we pass over before I change everything. Yeah, that should be it. That might be the VORTAC thing right about there. I think that's it. All right, make sure we go all the way over the airport there. There we go. All right. 11260 on a heading of 164. There we go. There we go. 35 nautical miles on this leg. So it shouldn't take us long to get there, and then we'll start lining up for our ILS approach. We have an ILS beacon localizer at the other end of our 07 left runway. We'll tune into that. That'll help guide us in on a final heading of 070. Yeah, I'd really like to. I would like to go there just once. That'd be my wish. And I think they probably do it. I know they did it at Indianapolis. They have like a bus that drives you around the way that the Indy cars and NASCAR, the actual direction that they take, whereas the F1 cars run counter to that. Um, but they take you around the oval. They don't take you necessarily on the road course, but they take you on the oval itself. Um, and then talk about the history of the track and the yard of bricks and all that kind of stuff. But it looks, the funny thing is it looks bigger on TV. The track looks wider on TV. But when you're actually there, it's like, how do they go 3 wide in these places? Because it doesn't look like they would fit 3 wide at all. But yeah, and they have a museum there with old Indy cars and Formula. I think they had a Stewart F1 car from when it was Stewart F1, that Jackie Stewart owned the team that eventually became Jaguar and all that. They do have, I think it was Ruben Barrichello's car from the Stewart F1 team is there. All right, so we have, wait, it says 6, wait, did I read that wrong? Oh, I did. It's 65.4 nautical miles, not 30. That's like the time. It says about 35, almost 36 minutes. So, yeah, I read the wrong thing. So, yeah, we do have, it is 60, just under 60 nautical miles to our next Vortac, which is near, it's near another airport. We will be able to see that. And that is at Ormond Beach Municipal. That's only got 2 runways, it looks like. Yep. That runs east-west and roughly north-south. So there we go. So yeah, we're just cruising along here. Now, look, if you notice, our altitude has increased slightly because our fuel has dropped. So our plane's a little bit lighter. Now it's like, okay, now I can climb. So, so yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now. But we'll keep an eye on that because we do need to be at like, what is it? About 2,000 feet when we get to our WAML, WAMAL is our. Once we turn there, we should be lining up for final approach there at Daytona Beach Airport. And I think I've posted it on my Discord before. I'll have to look. But there's a video, this was from like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, from the Corvette racing team. Tommy Milner mounted a camera on his helmet, and they did a crew change. I think they were doing like practice, right? I don't think it was during the race. It was during practice or something like that. But it was at night, and so he climbs in at night and then starts the car up and heads out and does some laps around Daytona at night. And it's an amazing view. And this was when it was the C7R, not the C8R racing Corvette. Absolutely amazing. And that was the year. Um, that was the year that the 3 and 4 car were like in first and second. They were neck and neck, and basically, they were told you can race each other, just don't wreck the cars. Be mindful of that. We don't want to be crossing the line, or we wreck each other because we're having a bit of fun. But they were let loose kind of, and they put on a really good show. They raced clean, they raced fair, they raced hard. But yeah, they really enjoyed it because there was nobody near them enough to really get in the mix. But they were allowed, like, hey, whoever can do it, get first. And I think that was the year the 3 car edged out the 4 car for the win. But yeah, it's good stuff. All right, let's see what else. Let's see, we have 51 nautical miles to our next nav point here along the Atlantic coastline here of the Florida. Now there's I think it's called the A1A. It does go down along the coastline of Florida, and it takes you to St. Augustine. And now Savannah says that they're one of the most haunted cities in America. St. Augustine says the same thing. I don't know. I think it's a lot of, they say stuff to get touristy people there to go like, oh yeah, it was very scary and I felt the spirits and all that kind of stuff. I remember I drove down. It was like a spur of the moment. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to St. Augustine. I left kind of late it was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and it took me a while to get there because I'd never been to St. Augustine, so I didn't know really which way to go. So I pulled in. It was like 9:30, almost 10 o'clock. What am I going to do now that I'm here? And so I parked in a parking garage, and I heard this family talking about a tour of St. Augustine. It was supposed to have like a ghost kind of tour sort of thing to it. And so, of course, we drive around. I get my ticket, and I'm like, okay, cool. And everybody's like, oh, you got a camera, maybe you'll catch some spirits and blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so we drive around, and we go out to this old lighthouse, and they talk about, people have seen this ghost on the swing set and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just like, okay, cool. So we go to the old jail, and you can tell it's a setup, right? You know what's getting ready to happen. And sure enough, we all get into the room, and then the lights go out, and everybody's like, ah! And this dude dressed up like a convict with a black and white stripe, pajamas and tops, and, got a flashlight over his face, and I'm just like, he's looking at me, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, come on. Can't you do something a little bit better than that? Like, really scare the crap out of me. But no. But it was interesting. He talked about the history of the jail and all that kind of stuff, and walked around. And him and I chatted for a few minutes, off to the side about the history of it and all that. But I was like laughing. I'm watching everybody freak out, and I'm just like, nah, I wasn't. You didn't really do anything that I didn't expect. But it's fun. It's some interesting places, and I didn't know this. I found this out afterwards, that Tom Petty was born and raised in St. Augustine. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I don't know that they know which. They've never, that wasn't like a touristy sort of thing. Like, oh, go see the house where Tom Petty grew up, kind of thing. I know Jody's like, who? Who's Tom Petty? Come on, Jody, just say, like, I have no idea who that is. In fact, I need to find some Tom Petty on my Spotify. I haven't listened to some Tom Petty in a while. I knew it. Oh my god. What airport is that? It's a pretty long runway. Is that one military airfields? Oh, it is. I got my hand up. I know you do, Mick. I know you know who Tom Petty is. I have no doubt about that. Because I would have been shocked if Mick's like, I don't know who Tom Petty is. I've never heard of him. I would have been like, that would have given me about a heart attack. Oh. Keep the plane stable right now. Ooh. 19 Bozzy 92. Ooh, I like that. I might post that one later. Let me put that in, lower that down so I don't get dinged for a copyright infringement. There you go. It's in your Discord now, Jody. Oh, now you know. Good old Google saved your backside. That's not fair. Oh, you know, Mick, I was just thinking, because you were posting stuff by, like, Tool, you should go, like, old school. You know, not even just, like, Iron Maiden. You should go, like, Dokken and Dio. And, who else? Who was the other? Dokken, Dio. Who was the other? There was like another band, like right around. Hey, Scruffy, how are you? Nice to see you here. Let me give a shout out to the wonderful Scruffy. Hope you're well. If you are looking for, if you want to fly with no rules and just fly, there's the. That's who you should go hang out with on every so often. His schedule's a bit wonky right now. He has his third grandchild. Congratulations, by the way. But yeah, as Captain Arash says, Scruffy Tam is the most wholesome YouTuber or Twitch flight sim person you will ever find. And he loves talking about his socks. He's got a sock cam. You're welcome. So if you want to know, just there's a command that you can see what socks he's wearing. He'll show you. He's got a camera looking down on where his rudder pedals are. Always a good time, great laughs and all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, if you're looking for somebody to fly with, that you can fly whatever you want. He does some very, yep, there he goes, the socks. Um, he he does a lot of scenic stuff, just all kinds of good stuff. So do check him out. Give him some support. Always a good time. Always a good laugh. He does have a YouTube channel as well. So he's growing that. So if I don't have it, I don't have the YouTube channel, but if you follow him on Twitch, he'll give you the link to the YouTube channel as well, so you can watch his VODs. There's his videos like the next day or so, whenever you have time, just to see what he's been up to. Yes, and he's if I understand correctly, he's got he'll be a media person at the Flight Sim Expo next year in Texas. He will be there. I'm hoping, if I can work it out, I'd like to be there, because they will have all kinds of cool stuff. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just we're on our way down to Daytona Beach. We took off from Savannah. Basically, we're doing a tour around America here in the Junkers 52. Well, we're just cruising along the coast here, just having a blast. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, I remember, like I said in your Discord, I remember somebody had got me a media pass for a car show there at Hilton Head, and it's like a different world. You know, people like, oh wait, get out the way, like you want to get ready to take a picture of the car. Headed to visit. No, nope, just doing the trip around America in the Junkers 52. But yeah, it's like when I did the car show there at Hilton Head, and people were like, "Oh wait, media person, get out the way! They clear everybody." Oh yeah. There you go. You'll enjoy his stuff, Nick. I think you guys will really get along. You know. But yeah, it's a different, and they had a whole media tent, right? And they had a place for if you had a media pass, you got to go in there, and they had food and drinks and all that. Yeah, it's like a completely different world. But yeah, I'm hoping to get down there and meet you in person and all that. It'd be nice to go down there and see all the stuff that they got coming up for flight simming and peripherals and stuff like that. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, we're just on our way. We got 29 nautical miles to go to our second Vortac. Yeah, because I know, like, when I saw Murph, they did that meetup, and he streamed it. It was just funny watching everybody just, having a good time and laughing and just, enjoying each other's company. That was a really awesome thing. I did watch every so often, but yeah, it is nice to meet people from the community that you talk to in the chat, and but meeting in person and actually sitting down and having a conversation, have lunch or dinner or whatever. Yeah, it was crazy. I would like to have gone, but yeah, that was kind of last minute sort of thing. But yeah, that was pretty funny. He's quite the character. I watch him every so often whenever I can. But yeah, I do get a laugh. I really enjoy his news streams with Gibbo. All right, we're getting there. So we need to start slowing down. Start dropping some altitude here a little bit. Yeah, the news streams, I always enjoy those. Because it's like he's serious, but he's also kind of like having a bit of fun with it, and the way he looks at the camera when he's talking. Oh man, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I think he found a good partner in Gibbo. They're perfect for each other. You know, they got that good dynamic. I think on the stream. Yeah. So is it you're not streaming tomorrow? I take it, or is that still up in the air, Scruffy? Well, matter of fact, since I'm doing shout outs, I should give a shout out to Nick, who is my original. He's the first member of the Uncle B Sim channel here. He will be on Minecraft tonight. So do go give him a follow if you haven't already. Be doing some Minecraft stuff tonight. Oh, next 2:30. Okay. That's not too bad, I guess. Minecraft tonight. I'm not sure about tomorrow, but he'll say what's happening tomorrow, if anything. But doing some Minecraft tonight. So if you'd like to watch building and tearing down and rebuilding and tearing down and all that, and planning and whatnot, and that's for you. If you like those sorts of streams. So yeah, definitely always a good time. Okay. Then we'll turn on a heading of 260. Start our lineup. Oh, you're welcome, Mick. Mick has been here since I first started flying in the sim. He's seen it all, just about. He had to get his sick bag early on when I was flying because he was just like, no, you're giving me an uneasy stomach. He's been here from the very start. Been quite supportive. Always appreciate it. He was there when I did the in-sim flight school. And we started over in the West Coast there, my original hometown airport of Hayward Executive in the 152, and we just take off and fly around and try to land, and I'd be all over the place doing the roller coaster ride as I was trying to line up for the landing. And here we are, a year later. And as soon as I made affiliate, Nick was the first one to subscribe. I can now watch in comfort. Well, thanks, Mick. Been a big supporter of the channel since I began. Encouraged me to get into streaming and grow the channel and keep working at it. Been quite a journey since our days on Richard's channel, watching him do Train Sim World 2. That seems like ages ago. That we was on his Discord having 3 or 4 hour conversations after his stream. Oh my goodness. right, so we were starting our, kind of making our, well, we were making our way down. See, now the plane wants to start lifting back up. Yeah, Joseph, you were sometimes the topics of those conversations, young man. But yeah, those were the days. Can't, it seems like a, I cringe when I'm, oh, well, you know, and I did the same thing. Like when I took the radio production class back in 2019. You know, you have to bring it in. The premises, you bring it in on a Friday. You play your intro, your your news break. You know, you talk about the weather and all that. Your bumper break, your little story, and then the closer. Uh, and yeah, at first you're just like you're nervous, and you can tell, you can hear it in your voice. But by after the midterm, you're like you're just nailing it. It's like second nature. And that's, I think that's the difficult part. People kind of get nervous and they're worried about how they sound, and you know how the you know the video looks and all that stuff. I mean, some of that stuff you can kind of control maybe, but otherwise you really, you know, there's not much you can do about it. So the but yeah, it just takes practice and just getting comfortable. You have to be comfortable with yourself. Like if you look on that my picture on my on my profile, that's me in the radio studio there on campus at the community college I went to. And everybody's like, "Why do you dress up?" And I said, "Well, because if you're dressed nice and you feel good, then that you will kind of exude that when you're dealing with people or you're talking on the radio or whatever like that." I call it, I'm always styling whenever I go into the studio. And I would post a picture before I go live. I'm like, this is what I look like today. I'm styling. Tune in, listen to the show. And so, but people would come in kind of like in their sweatpants and all that, and they just kind of be like, ugh. But yeah, but it does take time. Like I was nervous as hell the first time I went into the radio studio. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, man, this isn't going to go well. And matter of fact, my instructor had expected me to fail. Said that the first day of class. Says, "I don't think you're going to do well in this class." And I'm like, what? Well, that's a pretty bold thing to say on the first day. I was one of the only few students that actually turned in work consistently and improved. And so I got an A in the class. It wasn't that difficult. It's just getting over that nervousness and just being comfortable. But that's not always an easy thing to do. But yeah, I enjoyed that class. I loved tutoring in it, actually. I did tutor a few students in it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was like, man, I'd really like to come back and do be an on-air personality for the school. No, it's not really for that. Matter of fact, I think I still might have a link to my SoundCloud. I don't know. It has some of my old radio shows on my SoundCloud that I uploaded there. And it's got the music and everything, so I don't know if it's still, I think the link is still on here on the Twitch. I don't remember. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. All right. We have 7.7 nautical miles. So our airport that we're looking for is just on the other side of those clouds, I would imagine. Hop out here and have a look-see. When we turn on a heading at 260, get ready for our lineup for our final approach. And I need to get my 109.70. All right. Oh, well, thank you for the gift there, Scruffy. Appreciate that. Young Mr. Addies. Now a tier 1. Jody, tier 1. Oh, thank you, Scruffy. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Very kind. We've got a good community. That's one of the best things I love about the flight sim. You know, not that there's always nice people, but generally, on average, I've found some very wonderful people in this community who are always willing to help other simmers out to learn more about flying, and just, you know, like if you're putting together you know, like a computer, what's the best stuff to get and all that. Always a very a community that's always willing to help out, help people learn more and get better at in the sim. All right, 3.3. So that is our airport right there. And our VOR, our VORTAC is just above. It's just above here, I believe. Doesn't look like. Should be it right. So it's somewhere right around here. We'll intercept it and then we'll make on our next heading here. We'll fly over the airport just to make sure we intercept that. Hey, Vengeful Squid, how are you? Welcome. We are just getting ready to turn towards, do our kind of our approach into Daytona Beach. We will land just south of Daytona Beach International. So there's we're intercepting this airport. I think things have changed here. This airport, what I'm looking at, flying in to get some good storm coverage. Are we? Nope, just some regular clouds, nothing too severe. No, I thought about that, and oops. I should have done the other 2 cents here. I don't know why. Should have done that. All right, let's go that way. Oops. All right. Oh, thank you for that one too. Told you out of Kess. I flew with the hunters. Oh. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for another gift, so appreciate that, Swift. Okay, well, I'll be here. We'll, we're gonna get ready to line up here. 109.70. Let's go ahead and dial that in. Have that whole set. We'll put on our landing lights. We're a well-lit plane. We like to be a well-lit plane. We want everybody to know, hey, you guys, we're coming in. All right. So we're on a heading of 260 for 16 nautical miles, and then we're going to turn on a heading of 169. Head kind of south again. And then we're going to turn and line up on 070. Final approach. We've got the ILS frequency dialed in. Hello, Fess, 1999. Good morning. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. We are getting ready to land here at Daytona Beach International. If we can, which is somewhere over yonder, probably where Kappa's room is. I'm guessing it is right where Daytona Beach is, the airport. And we'll get ready to land. We'll put it on the ground. We'll wrap things up for the day. We'll be back tomorrow in the Cessna 172. The next, it is the Junkers 52 3M Retrofit. 3M meaning 3 motors. This is the more modernized kind of version with the, you can feather the props and all that. It's got more modern navigation stuff. But it's pretty much in the same spirit as the original Junkers 52. This was built in Germany in the 1930s. Flew for the Deutsche Lufthansa, the precursor to what is now known as Lufthansa Airlines, although they are not. Lufthansa Airlines is not a continuation of Lufthansa. Yeah, it's a great plane. It's on for sale. I think it's only in the NSIM marketplace, but it is the first local legends that came out when we had an update for Germany. Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Always glad to try to help explain things as best as I can. So yeah, in Flight Sim, when they did the world update for Germany, this was the first local legends that came out. Absolutely amazing plane. Looks complicated, but it's not. So yeah, really, really awesome plane, I think. Always fun to fly it. Bit of, it's got its challenges, but it can be very rewarding once you kind of get over what those challenges are. It's not that bad. But yeah, it's got the vintage vibe to it, but it's got more modern avionics, navigation radios and all that. This is all modernized equipment. So, but the other one is just as fun to fly. They're not very much different. It's just this one's got more bits to help you navigate. That's all. Let's see if we can talk to Daytona. Not yet. I think we got to turn to the south here pretty soon. I think our turn should be coming up. So basically what we did is we navigated using radio navigation, and now we're using fixes in I think it's all fixes to get to our ILS approach. So this is kind of like what airline pilots, there's like a pattern that they fly in basically to line up for their approach, but that's all subject to change based on the what the ATC wants them to do. So let's see, 260169. Go ahead and head there. We've pretty much covered just about the 16 nautical miles here. We'll just fly a little bit longer just to be on the safe side, and then we'll turn. So make sure we've got our distances. Not. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I've tried to change it, but sometimes it doesn't. I've tried to make it where it's only like a couple ads, but those are all like very short, so they put like a bunch together for like 3.5 minutes or whatever. So I apologize about that. That's the tricky part about being an affiliate. Sometimes those things happen, and I've tried to fix it and make it a little bit better, but whatever I've done obviously has not worked as intended. All right, I think we can go ahead and turn on 26 or 169 heading. Go ahead and get some flaps down so we can start slowing down as well. So, yeah. Most people say if you can afford it, the Alpha and Bravo from can't remember who makes it. Those are supposed to be like the best. They are a bit pricey, but they're worth it. But if you're on a budget, the Velocity ones are supposed to be just as good. Some people say buy the Velocity one because that'll get you through until you. Because if you spend all the money on the Alpha and Bravo yokes, it can be, if you're like, yeah, I'm not really into this, then you've spent a lot of money and now you've got stuff. So I would say the Velocity one if you're on a budget, but it'll get you through in the meantime. But a lot of people swear by the Alpha and Bravo yokes. The Alpha yoke and the Bravo throttle part. But they are a bit pricey. You might be able to find, sometimes you can find them on a used price on eBay, but I would be a bit suspect of it because you may end up getting some junk from somebody, unfortunately. But I think on Amazon you can probably find the Velocity one for a good price from Thrustmaster. If you really want to go all out, the Boeing yoke and throttle is really good. Some people say it's got a more realistic fuel on the yoke, but yeah, for budget, the Velocity one is a good option. All right. So pretty soon, folks, I will have to kind of keep my eyes away from chat so we can get ready to land here. I think whoever was there at Daytona Airport has left the airport, so I'm not sure. Just waiting for our oops, kind of heading away. That's okay. Give us some time to make sure we're lined up. see, that was supposed to be 12 nautical miles, so we should be about in that area, I think. Now that 339 might be where... See, if I could see the... I might have turned early. Probably did. If I could see the International Speedway, I'd know exactly where I was, or how much farther we got to go. But we're gonna keep heading this direction. Turn a little bit to the right so that we've got some room to work with. Try to keep an eye out for the. That's definitely not our one. That's not our airport. So I think it's where the 339 is. Probably more likely. As soon as it comes up on the list, I mean, I would think that we're close enough it would be on the list, but there's a lot of small airports in the area here. Okay, that's kind of a weird one. Alright, let's see what happens now. Alright, where's Tegan? Alright, so that is... So we should be kind of turned into for lineup now. But they're saying go to... Still not on our list. Am I that far off? This is supposed to be on 070. We'll go ahead and line that up. Well, I mean, we've got enough, well, we've got just enough fuel probably if we have to circle around, we can. This has kind of gone not quite according to plan. But I think that's where Daytona International is, where that 339 is. But it's hard to tell because I can't see the... If I can find the speedway, then I know where we are. I feel like we're way, way off here. Oops. Orlando. There it is. Wow. We are far from... We are going away from it. Alright, but which, Aha! There we go. Now we know. We didn't cheat. Use the, our available, call out and say, hey, where are you guys? Lost 1, this is Lost 3. Are you Lost 2 over? All right. So that low clouds have kind of obscured our one known landmark, which is the International Speedway there. So we head here. Never a dull moment here. Right now we can ask them again and make sure we are still heading the right direction. So we're almost heading the right direction. Turn a little bit more. Aha, I bet you that's it right there. That probably is it. I see runway lights. There's our pattern entry right there. There we go. Ta-da, we found it. Good stuff, good stuff. We could have lost our cool, started panicking. We did not. Doesn't really help if you do that. And we try. I think you're right, Vengeful. I think you're right. Let's see, we need to be, yeah, we still need to be dropping some altitude here. But we're getting there. Yeah. Oh, you want to go to Disney? No, I want to go to Jacksonville. No, you want to go to Disney. Or I want to go to Daytona. No, you want to go to Disney. No, I don't want to go to Disney. I want to go see where the cars race. Yeah, I should have timed my turns. That was my mistake. I should have used my stopwatch and timed our approach there. And so that was my failure as a pilot. I didn't do that. So we've got, let's see, it was 109. Let me make sure I've got the right frequency here. 109.70. I think I've got that dialed in correctly. Yep, all right. There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of airports here in Florida. Some are military, some are civilian. Yeah, so it's easy to get lost in the... Oh, this looks like it might be my airport. No, it's not. So let's get on the ground here, folks, and so basically what we're going to try to do, what we've been doing in the Junkers 52, is we kind of come in a little bit flat and low, and just, kind of come in, get over the edge of the runway, bleed off what's a little bit left of the airspeed, set it down. It seems to get us down a little bit quicker. I put some weight in the back when I loaded up the plane today, so that should get the tail down a little bit quicker. That's the tricky part with the tail draggers, is sometimes the plane will want to keep going and you're like trying to get it to settle down. And if you hit the brakes too hard, you're going to nose over. So you have to kind of finesse it a little bit and get the plane, to do what you want it to do, get it on the ground and all that. So But thank you everybody for coming in today and hanging out. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's flight. We'll be back tomorrow in the Cessna 172, 7:10 Eastern. Don't flip it like the baked potato. Yeah, exactly. 7:10 Eastern, 11:10 UTC, 12:10 UK in the Cessna 172, the next leg of our flight along Route 66. So do join us for that tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some nice, interesting things to talk about. We'll turn the weather off so we have a nice sunny flight and we can hopefully catch some sights along the way. I know we're leaving from Springfield, Missouri. I don't remember which way our next destination is. Hopefully it'll be a good flight tomorrow. So we are, I think I'd put just enough fuel in just to make sure if we had to do a go around, we could have done that if necessary, if we were really lost. But we're good to go. We should, I would think. Well, as soon as we get a little bit closer to the airport, I mean, the speedway is like roughly right there. Definitely right next to they're right next to one another. So if you're visiting, it's easy to get to your hotels and to the speedway and all that from the airport. I imagine a lot of drivers fly in there like the week or two prior, and probably late in the evening, so they don't get mobbed by the fans. Right, there we go. Now, some people prefer to fly with the glide path off. I like to do it only because then it gives me an idea of where we are in relation to the runway. Because I'm not that savvy yet with my flying. But once you're a little bit more comfortable, you can turn it off. But this is a tricky plane to fly, and well, not to fly, but to land, because if you come in at too steep at an angle, you're gonna have to pull up last minute, and it's gonna be a rough landing. But if you come in a bit flat, like I was saying, it seems so far that has been a good plan. So we're gonna try to stick with that plan. Get the last bit of flaps down. Because I'm only using my standard controller to fly, so my thumb gets a little tired if I fly manually. But this plane is a bit easy to fly, because once it's done climbing, and it just kind of it will trim itself out and be kind of stable. You just have to make those little adjustments, turning left or right to stay on course. So it works out very well for me, I think. But if I fly it manually the whole way, like I really had to do all that, if necessary, my thumb would just get worn out. So yeah, let's get a little bit more altitude dropped here. We should have been at 1,900 feet, almost 2,000 feet, way back behind us. So we are a bit behind the curve as far as our altitude goes. So we're going to have to kind of make up for that. And try to get down here as quickly as we can. So let me focus on landing and I'll be back into the chat. The wind was a bit weird today when I was looking at when I pulled up the which runway to that website. I put a link in the Discord that will help you kind of determine which is the best way to land based on the wind. I was expecting to come in from over the water from the coast here into our runway, but then when I checked it this morning before I started the stream, it suggested this is the better option. So I was like, oh, okay, kind of different than I was expecting. So I try to follow those guidelines so it makes for a much smoother landing and all that. All right, let's get a little bit lower here. It's so easy to overcorrect here with the standard controller, because it's hard to get that feel for it, because you're like, oh, it's doing this, and then you tend to overdo it to correct it. We'll be on the ground here in a moment, folks. If I can keep it lined up. There's the speedway. You can see the main grandstands there to the left as we're coming in. Kind of start to make out a little bit of the banking of the course. Oops, we're now it's much more defined now. Somebody needs to do a hand update of the speedway there. Make it part of the airport and the scenery. All right, there we go. All right. Maybe we could have come in a little bit flatter, but we're fine. Try to bleed off that airspeed now. Little bump. But there we are. On behalf of myself and the entire flight crew, we'd like to welcome you to Daytona Beach. Local time is 9:39 in the morning. We understand and appreciate it. It's the middle of the week and everybody's definitely working for the weekend. They just can't get here fast enough. But we're glad that you chose to fly with us today. Do join us tomorrow in the Cessna 172 as we fly along Route 66. The next leg, I think it's leg 4 or 5. Let me take a looky here. I can probably take a look at that right quick while we're taxiing towards our turnoff point. It is leg 4. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Jody. Leg 4 tomorrow. Right, how about if I just turn right out here? Does that satisfy you? They're jerky. So demanding. To the parking, please. Wow, it sounds like we're going way over somewhere. Well, we're gonna take a little ride around Daytona. Find our parking spot. See, I put the brakes on, and now this thing is taking forever to get moving. Come on, plane. There we go. Now we're moving. So yeah, we almost got lost, but we made it. We had enough fuel if we really needed to do a go around. Make sure we knew where our airport was. We could have done that. Luckily, we did not have to. Nothing wrong with using your radios and calling and say, "Hey, where are you?" Let's all drive. Yeah. So we'll get to our parking spot here in a little bit. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever flown in or out of Daytona Beach Airport, so I don't know how close to legit this is. But I don't know if somebody's done a hand drawn, like a updated Daytona Airport here. Well, there we are. We'll go find our parking spot and call it a day. Thank you all for coming in and hanging out. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Scruffy, thank you again for the gifted subs. You're quite the legend. Appreciate that. Thank you all to all my subscribers, whether you're a gifted sub or you are a regular sub. I greatly appreciate your support. And thank you again for the follow there, Fest1999. Hopefully you enjoy the channel, my flying. If there's anything I can answer as best as I can, I will do that. If I don't know the answer, I will try to point you in the direction of the answer. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Joseph. Did you like? I know you said you like story time. You always get excited for story time, Joseph. Maybe it'll be story time tomorrow. Who knows? Depends on if anything else triggers my desire to have story time. Not, we'll just have a nice flight there from Springfield to no FIFA questions. Yeah, no FIFA questions. I can't answer those. That's for sure. Springfield to I didn't put it in. All my answer to FIFA questions is VOR, video or VAR, not VOR, VAR, video after review. That's always the answer. But just remember, VAR is not always going to go in your favor. As much as you want it to, it is not guaranteed to overturn the ruling. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go a little bit past here, and we're going to turn on this next part right there, and then we're going to turn back towards our parking spot right there. No goal, yeah. Tight little turn here. See, it wanted me to turn around and go back. I'm like, no, that would have been a kind of a much sharper turn to come in. It's much easier if I come in this way. Safer. For me, at least, it is. I'm sure the folks in the hangar there were a bit worried if I was going to clip the building or not. So that looks like a fuel stand there, because we are kind of low on fuel. So we're like, just go gas up. It's all good. Should have said, take us to the gates then. All right, we're almost there. Oh, now the our stuff is working, our beep beep beep. All right, let's shut it down. Shut the engines off. Shut our lights off while the engines are powering down. All right, engines are off. Let's shut the batteries down. There's one. And there's two. How do we do? 2 hours and 9 minutes. It said we had 2.5 hours, but we did it, as I expected, a little bit quicker, even though we did get a little bit lost. Let me go ahead and put this in FS Hub. Oh, I am now a captain in Firefly Airlines. Look at that. I feel special now. Getting promoted, just not with the pay. I didn't get a pay increase, unfortunately. Yeah, good stuff to be a part of this. Nice. It's a great way to do more stuff in the sim. KSAV. We departed at 11:20. And we landed at KDAB at 13:30. Oops, not the date. Oops, today's date. 2809/2022, 13:30. There we are. Bingo. Oops, submit. There it is. Oh, thank you, Joseph. So that will be it for today. Oh, thank you, Jody. So yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow in the Cessna 172 Springfield 2. Matter of fact, I'll tell you right now where we're heading. Where is my achievements? Dun, dun, dun. Route 66. Leg 4. We're going from Springfield, Missouri to KJLN, which is Joplin Regional, Joplin, Missouri. And that is only a 54 nautical miles. Very short flight tomorrow. That's good. That's okay. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate that. So yeah, should be a very, very straightforward flight. We'll if we have to circle around to see some points of interest, we will. I'll see if I can come up with something to kind of check out along the way. And if not, we'll do our nice little flight, land, and call it a day. And so there we go. Thank you all once again for coming in and hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you again, Scruffy, for the gifted subs. Thank you, Mick, for your support. Good sir. And I will see you, Joseph. You basically said what Mick said. Come on. What'd you do? Copy and paste and change one word. Oh my God, Joseph. Come on. Come up with something original once in a while. I'm kidding, of course. Thank you. So I will see you all tomorrow. Do enjoy the rest of your Wednesday morning, afternoon, evening, early Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. I have been and always shall be your host and pilot, Uncle B. Until tomorrow, peace, live long, and prosper.